Well, after you've bought a property at auction, then the scope of the renovations, well, is down to you.
Yes, decisions, decisions, decisions. Now, whatever you do, hopefully it will lead to a bit of profit, if you do it right, that is.
What decisions did today's buyers make? Let's find out.
My sentiments are similar to yours, Dion, here at this property in Kent.
Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
125.
All of these properties have been sold at auction, and we'll find out who bought them and what they paid for them when they went under the hammer.
In that case, you win it, sir. Well done.
Dover in Kent is well known for its ferries, castle and its white cliffs. So what can I tell you about this town you might not already know? Well, Dover is also home to St Edmund's Church, which is apparently the smallest church in England still in regular use. It was built in 1262 to serve pilgrims arriving in Dover en route to Canterbury to worship at the shrine of St Thomas Becket. What will my property pilgrimage have in store today?
Well, you might be surprised that the church theme continues with the property that was up for auction. Because built in 1901 for the princely sum of £5,500 was this. A Methodist chapel, now closed down and up for auction with a guide price of £140,000 to £150,000. Let's have a look. OK, well, through those marvellous doors into this little sort of entrance area, nothing too spectacular yet. And then through into the main body of the Wow. That is exactly what you'd hope to find, isn't it? Look at this. What a fantastic space. Obviously, it's all been cleared out at some point, so you've basically just got this shell, and judging by some of the bits and pieces of paint coming off the walls, they're not particularly in fantastic condition. But structurally, I'm looking for any huge cracks that might be a major concern. I don't know at first glance. Looks okay. And just, wow. Wow, wow, wow! Now, clearly, some of the character of the building has been taken out of the pews, have gone a lot of the woodwork and the window frames and original windows. However, there is still a lot of the building which has been left, which does give it that feeling that this just isn't a square box. You know, these wonderful archways, the arched windows, just the shape of the roof. And I think when you were planning any renovation, you'd really want to make the most of what's been left. Maybe that mezzanine floor there, that's certainly that huge, great master window. All the windows, keep them like this. It's not going to be cheap. You're going to have bespoke frames made, but that will all be recouped in the value of whatever you put here. Well, the first idea you have is obviously, wouldn't it be great to just somehow keep it like it is? I think that, in this case, would probably limit your options. Who knows, though? Maybe some kind of a nursery or a community centre or something like that. Is that going to have much of a commercial market? I'm not sure. The next one would be to knock it down, perhaps, and just use the space. I think that would be a real shame. Finally, how about trying to convert this into some kind of residential development, maybe flats? Clearly, it has no planning permission at the moment. It has no change of use in place for residential. So there's lots of hurdles you're going to have to jump. It really is a problem and a joy at the same time. So many options. What do you do?
It's not unusual for churches and chapels to be sold off and to be converted to other uses. But planning can still be a tricky process, as many are listed or also have covenants on them restricting their future uses. We've asked for guidance from a local estate agent to see what he thinks this interesting building could become.
I'd love it to be one big house. How amazing would that be? Having said that, as a business point of view, I can see that, you know, it makes sense to convert it into apartments.
The agent thinks you could get a number of two-bed flats in here if, of course, you manage to get that all-important planning permission. How likely is that in the local area?
My experience tells me that you would probably get it. My experience of dealing with a recent paper mill, but that did have parking, and that's the only thing I can see the problem.
Ah yes, it already sits on a busy road with a lack of parking, and there's no outside space to speak of, so the planners could look unfavourably on that factor. The agent thinks still there could be money to be made here on the church, guided at 140 to 150,000, as each flat would go for 130,000.
Well, the future of this church is as yet unwritten, and yet I'm sure there is somebody out there who will be willing to take it on. It's a very interesting opportunity. Let's see who agreed when it went under the hammer.
Substantial premises on a corner site there. Potential for lots of things, I think, subject to all the planning consents. Start me at 120 then. 120, I'm on the way, straight away, at £120,000. Now 125, 125. I've got 125 at the back. Can I take 130? 130. At 132, I've got, if we're all done at £132,000, 133 is that? 133. 134 I've got. 135 I've got. 136 is against you both at the back. Otherwise, at £135,000 in the front row, if you're sure you're all done. Smoke have I got? Sold at £135,000.
Thankfully, not having a gavel to hand didn't stop the auctioneer from selling this lot to Steve and his wife Hazzy for £135,000. But they won't be taking this massive job on themselves, as Hazzy's brother Sunil and his wife Geeta are all teaming up together. They all run a family sales and letting office, so are well versed in property and indeed on Homes Under the Hammer, as they have all been regulars on the show over the years. But this property is different from the ones they've done in the past. While Steve and Sunil were busy measuring up, I chatted to Geeta and Hazzy to find out what they had planned here.
Geeta, Hazzy, lovely to meet you both.
Hello.
In fact, we've met before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
But an interesting one you've chosen here, then.
We have, yes. It's not our usual part of our portfolio.
Yeah. So why this place, then?
And we thought, well, why not? Why not? Because it was a great price. It's a massive building, has a lot of potential in a very good area.
So, when you first walked in, I mean, did you have a wow or a oh my gosh sort of reaction?
Both, I think.
Yeah, it's the space, though. The space is just amazing, and I can just visualise, you know, the outcome.
So tell me what your plans are.
Well, we decided Steve's quite good at developments.
He's
my
your
husband.
Yeah,
and we're thinking about doing either 6 apartments, or there is still potential for renting out for schools or nurseries, things like that.
Because at the moment, I mean, it is a bit of a blank canvas. It hasn't got planning permission for anything, has it?
No.
It's just, it is what it is. So there's quite a few hurdles to go through.
It's not listed either.
No.
So that goes in our favour, doesn't it? Yeah.
But, you know, the one thing we don't want to do is start knocking it down or anything, trying to keep the character of it. And, you know, there are a lot of churches around that have had all these apartments done, and they're absolutely stunning. So, you know, and it's nice to keep in character from the outside as well.
So how would you possibly squeeze 6 or 7 apartments into this?
Well, the architect actually said that we can put 2 or 3 mezzanine floors in, and obviously use the top spaces and make maybe 1 or 2 and studio flats as well.
The end result, though, will be to try and build 6 or 7 apartments and then keep them and rent them out? Is that the plan? Is that what you generally do?
Keep them and rent them out, yeah.
What kind of build costs do you think there might be? Do you have a budget? I mean, what?
Well, the budget we've set at the moment is between 250 and 300,000.
Okay.
But again, we'll have to look and see what we can achieve, you know, in terms of the number of units.
Yeah.
And then the cost of that will incur.
So you paid 135 for it. Let's assume 300,000 to do it. So about £430,000. What kind of return do you think you might get from, say, 6 flats?
Well, a lot of these apartments are selling about 250 each.
Wow,
plus,
really?
Because of the character. That's why it's completely outside our comfort zone, but it's at the same time it's a new project and quite exciting.
Right.
And also because it does have a lot of character, it'd be great to be able to create a vision of flats that do have the character but also have that modern feel and that modern living space as well.
So on that basis, if you sell 6 at 250, or, you know, I know you're going to sell them, but they'll be worth 250, that's 1.5 million, and it's going to cost you about 450 to do it. There's £1 million profit!
It is.
Well, potentially, if we rented them out, you know, the potential rents could be £700-800 a month.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Right.
so I don't think we'll lose out of this at all. I'm quite optimistic about it.
And what kind of timescale are you anticipating?
Well, probably about a year and a half,
planning
I think.
can take some
yeah,
time.
just depends how long planning takes.
Planning can take.
And then after that, we're giving ourselves a year and a half.
Well, listen, congratulations.
Thank
A few
you.
challenges ahead, but a really exciting project.
Thank you very
Lovely
much.
to see
Thank
you both.
you.
Thank you very much.
Well, exciting times ahead for Geeta and Hazzy. Exciting, but challenging. No planning permission, no plans as yet. Will they be able to achieve those 6 or 7 apartments here? Who knows? You can find out, though, later in the show.
Time to return to Dover in Kent, where the auction lot was a church guided at 140 to 150,000. Initially, I was underwhelmed, then...
Wow. That is exactly what you'd hope to find, isn't it? Look at this. What a fantastic space.
It was awe-inspiring for sure, and its potential didn't go unnoticed by a family well experienced in property. Geeta and Hazzy and their husbands Sunil and Steve picked it up for 135,000, and it seemed like they were straying into unfamiliar territory.
Well, we just decided to think
different.
outside the box because we've always done houses, property, we have to do developments as well. And we thought, oh, you know, we'll just try something different, and it's actually quite exciting.
Right.
So, when this came along, we thought, well, why not?
Despite their inexperience with this type of build, they had ideas of developing it into 6 flats.
Because it does have a lot of character, it'd be great to be able to create a vision of flats that do have the character but also have that modern feel and that modern living space as well.
With a proposed budget of 250 to 300,000 and allowing up to 18 months for the job, I thought they were being fairly realistic, providing planning could be sorted. So, 18 months later... Well, it certainly doesn't look like much has changed, but let's see what Geeta and Sunil can tell us about what's going on here.
Since we last met, we've been busy basically working on a planning application for flats in this building. So we've managed to get planning for 4 one-bedroom apartments and 5 two-bedroom apartments over 3 floors.
We were very fortunate that we only needed to make 1 planning application. Dover Planning Committee and Dover Council really supported us in getting the number of units we desired.
I've decided on a whole new plan, some better ways, now that I know the score.
So, with their planning secured, when will the build begin?
As soon as we find builders to work on it. So we are looking for local people to work on producing these 9 units.
So our main aim at the moment is to get a steel frame that will take the rest of the apartments in the building. So the original structure will remain, but but we will need to build up from the basement to take the weight of each level.
Keeping the character of the building was really important to us. The main things for us was keeping the shape of the windows, the front door, and also the structure of the building. It is a church and we want it to look like a church, but when people walk inside, obviously, you know, it looks completely different and modern. At the moment, we've got...
What challenges have they faced along the way?
So that will be on the second. I think the biggest challenge for us in terms of getting this planning was handling objections from people who, you know, around the local area. I mean, people don't like change necessarily, especially when it's on their doorstep. So what we wanted to do was try and reassure them that actually, look, you know, we're doing this to help build the community and be part of the community rather than sort of take anything away from them.
Of course, all these considerations cost time, as is the case here. Their original timescale of 18 months has been and gone.
In order to get natural...
Sunil thinks that it will take the same length of time again to complete the build. However, what they have lost in time, they have gained in an increase of units. So, have they upped the budget?
Our original budget was around 250 to 300,000, but that's now doubled to about 540,000 roughly is what we estimated, which works out to about 60,000 per unit.
Taking build costs, auction costs and planning costs into consideration will bring their total spend to a whopping £700,000. And it seems they are firm in their plans to rent the apartments once they're built. So to give us an idea of how much those could be worth, we invited along 2 local estate agents, including the one who saw it before.
The plans for this building are exciting. There's going to be 5 2-bedrooms and 4 1-bedrooms. It should look fantastic when it's finished because he's going to keep a lot of the features. Giving it that little bit of extra, people like something different.
They're going to be quite sizable flats because I have seen the plans, which is interesting. And so, yeah, very, very interesting, exciting development.
So will that excitement translate into profit? What could the units rent for?
The rental value for these properties would be for a 1-bedroom, £400 per calendar month.
A 1-bedroom, about £500 per calendar month.
For a 2-bedroom, £500 per calendar month.
I would expect a 2-bedroom in the region of about £600 per calendar month.
It depends on the market on the time, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, might go up, which would go in our favour. If not, I think we'd be happy with that anyway.
And how about resale value?
The resale value of the properties, a 1-bedroom, £120,000.
The 1-bedroom in the region of £120,000.
A 2-bedroom would be around about £150,000.
I believe the 2-bedroom apartment will get in the region of £160,000.
They're experts in the area, so yeah, we agree, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. That's good. That's good news. Yeah.
The higher valuations could see them making 8.5% rental yield or a potential pre-tax sales profit of £605,000. So, are they ready to start building?
Well, we've already had quite a busy time. We've had a lot of family weddings that have literally just finished like last week. So I think we're quite ready to sort of move forward and start this project and get our teeth into it properly.